All right, guys. Well, football is upon us. Here we are, week one, fantasy football matchup previews for the league. I know you've all been dying to hear it. So here we go. I'm going to jump right in with the easiest matchup to predict week one. You got the commish, myself, the Ric Flair of the league. I'm kind of always in the title picture versus Jason, otherwise known as Follow the Buzzards versus the Legend Killer. So the key to this matchup really is going to be if Todd Gurley can put up about 60 fantasy points, Jason will have an outside shot at winning. So Gurley's going to basically have to outperform what anybody's ever done by about 20 points. It's not going to happen. Jason's going to lose by a lot here. I love Gurley's matchup at San Fran, but unfortunately, it's just not going to be enough. Surprise of the week for this matchup. The biggest surprise would be if Jason actually got his lazy butt into the gym and worked out. That would be the biggest surprise because, I mean, bro, do you even lift anymore? I can't tell. But on a fantasy note, I'm going to go C.J. Anderson has a big week at home against the Carolina Panthers, who he did well against in the Super Bowl. Winner of this matchup, of course, your commissioner by a lot. Not going to be a close one. Easiest matchup of the week to predict. Now, moving on to the second matchup of the week. This one's interesting. You got Tony versus Steve, Cheesehead versus Neil before Zod. Our defending champ can't seem to stop making trades. He's made some pretty stupid trades already, and he went from a heavy favorite in this matchup to now being the underdog. I don't know what you're doing, Steve, but trading your number one wideout for Jeremy Hill, a guy that you can't even start for most weeks because he has an absolutely brutal schedule, that's a bold move. We'll see if that pays off for you. Spoiler alert, it's not going to. So, terrible work, Steve. Also, who in the hell gift wraps D'Angelo Williams against Washington to the guy you're playing against that week? Man, that's just not smart maneuvering at all. The key to this battle is going to be D'Angelo Williams switching sides and having a huge week against Washington with a much improved secondary. They're going to be run-centric. I think the Steelers will be. Julio Jones is obviously going to torch the Bucs. They don't have anybody that can stop Julio. He's torched them for years now, and he's going to again. Surprise, though, on Steve's side. I'm going to say Ryan Matthews winds up having a big week with the rookie quarterback Carson Wentz starting for the Eagles. You got a situation that lends itself to Ryan Matthews with a big workload. I think Carson Wentz is going to be dumping it off a lot. Also really like Zach Ertz for a decent week. Whoever's got him, good looking out. It's not going to be enough, and Steve's going to lose week one to Tony Jr., the Cheesehead. So, yeah, Tony getting a win before week 8. Whew, man, that's a shocker in and of itself. So the next matchup is quite possibly one of the worst week one matchups I've ever seen. It's a toilet bowl preview. I'm sorry, guys, but Chris, Jared, Suicide Squad versus That Didn't Work. It's ugly, guys. It's really, really ugly. Much like one of Jared's ex-girlfriends, it's hideous. So the key to this matchup is going to be Chris's awful matchups. Rivers and Allen. Yeah, you can't sit them, but at KC, boy, that's tough. Opening day at Arrowhead, man, this is a Chiefs team that beat the crap out of the Patriots on opening day at Arrowhead 2 years ago. I mean, the truth is the Chiefs are they're really good on opening day. I do like Amari Cooper at New Orleans, obviously. Freeman's going to get his against the Bucs. But that being said, the key to this matchup is going to be Sammy Watkins running roughshod over the Baltimore Ravens, and the Los Angeles Rams defense is going to have an absolute field day with the 49ers, my 49ers. are going to have a rough go in at home against LA. That's the LA defense is legit. The Niners offense is god awful. Surprise of this week, I got two for you. Number one, I got Dan Bailey's going to outperform Stephen Gostkowski, and I have to mention that because, of course, and I'll bring this up in every single recap because it was that stupid. Jared took Stephen Gostkowski in the 8th freaking round, which you're going to see week to week is just absolutely silly. So I like Dan Bailey to have a better week than Stephen Gostkowski. But on a serious note, the surprise is going to be Doug Martin is going to run absolutely roughshod over the Atlanta Falcons, which is not really a surprise, I guess. But when you look at these two teams and how ugly they are, you got to throw something out there. Winner, this is a toss-up. I'm going to give the slight nod to Jared. I'm not 100% confident in this pick. Honestly, it could go either way. I mean, it's a hideous matchup. So we'll see how it goes as far as that. Flip a coin. We got John versus Joe. So John's great team. By the way, clever team name, John. Thanks for being a participant. Donkey Punch is Joe's team name, which I guess because he's always coming from behind. I don't know what you're getting at. But anyway, the key to this game is going to be that Ben Roethlisberger is a horrible quarterback, and he's facing a much improved Washington secondary. You're going to hate that pick more and more as the season goes along. Big Ben is one of the most overrated players in all of fantasy. And I think he's going to get off to a rough start on Monday night on the road in a tough matchup against the Redskins. Russell Wilson is absolutely going to shred the Dolphins. So the quarterback matchup here is heavily in John's favor. I think Jordy Nelson, for my surprise for the week, even in limited action, I do think he gets about 50 yards, and I do think he gets into the end zone twice. He's going to be the main red zone target for the Packers all season long. So I think week one, good matchup against Jacksonville. He gets in twice. Winner, John is going to edge Joe despite a huge week from Adrian Peterson. AP is going to tear it up against the Titans. No question about it. But I still think it's not going to be enough to overcome what Russell Wilson does against Miami and how much of a discrepancy at quarterback between Russell Wilson and Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger is one of the weakest quarterback plays in the league this week. And that's going to be pretty consistent as the season goes. Ben Roethlisberger is right on the same level as Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, all those guys that you just kind of bunch together, Matt Stafford. So they're really matchup plays. And when you have Roethlisberger in a horrible matchup like that, I just can't imagine he's going to do that well. You're going to have Josh Norman draped all over Antonio Brown. So I'll get to that in a second. So winner, John. John gets the edge. Last matchup, Tony Sr. versus Cameron. We got Pack Attack versus Valor Morgulis. Like the Game of Thrones reference, Cameron, but there's so many other options you could have gone with, much like your fantasy team. I think Yahoo has Cameron grossly overprojected for this week. Cam Newton at Denver. Denver's got the formula to stop Cam. I don't like it. Antonio Brown projected to score 17 points at Washington despite a much improved secondary, including one of the best corners in the league that's going to be shadowing Antonio Brown, Josh Norman. There's no way he reaches that mark. There's just no way. Unless he catches an 80-yard touchdown where he just burns the secondary, he's not going to reach that mark. The key to this matchup is going to be Aaron Rodgers versus Cam Newton. You have the two best quarterbacks in fantasy. Truth of it is that Cam Newton's got the worst matchup he's going to have all season. So I expect him to have a pedestrian start. Aaron Rodgers is playing an improved but very young Jacksonville defense, and I think Aaron Rodgers is going to shred him. The surprise, Antonio Brown, going to have a rough day. I think Antonio Brown, he's still going to get his catches, still a PPR monster, but I'm going to slot him in about 85 yards and no score. I mean, obviously you can't sit Antonio Brown, but if ever there was going to be a week where you would do that, it would be this week. Roethlisberger sucks. It's a horrible quarterback, and Brown is facing his toughest matchup of the season. Winner is going to be my dad, Pack Attack, with a shocking upset behind a massive week 1 from Aaron Rodgers. And believe it or not, Rashad Jennings is going to tear apart the Dallas Cowboys, setting up play action for my Odell Beckham Jr. all day long. And there you have it, guys. That is your week 1 matchup previews. Questions, comments, concerns, you guys know how to get a hold of me. I will catch you later.